What'd she do? Mess up her hand?
Broke my arm.
Oh, Jesus.
It was a left arm though, wasn't it? I thought it was a left.
I think we're gonna have a redevelopment agreement for 150 Station. That's how we talked about doing it. Instead of doing a vacation of the alley, we're gonna essentially treat it like a big sidewalk.
Did everybody sign in?
We have an agreement with them. Then we're not actually transferring any property.
Me, you, that's 4.
All right, you got 30 minutes now.
30 minutes?
You gotta make up for the other 2 hours, man.
Did you hear that?
Or
You got about 30 seconds before it goes live. So.
Okay, according to my watch, 20 seconds late.
Could be. Not broadcasting here.
Shit, the neighborhood organization, I cut people off after an hour. I was cheering, they were look. My food getting right there, getting cold. You know, you just can't solve everything.
that's all.
Certain things gotta wait till next week.
KBC marketing, we do it at the bar, so.
Huh?
KBC marketing, we have a meeting at the bar, so after an hour, people start talking about it.
You know, we need to start doing that here.
We? All right.
We're live.
Well, we do have a quorum, so might as well make sure we got audio. Check. Okay. All righty. Uh-oh, she's got papers.
Good to you, Nick.
Just from,
I am. I don't know if y'all saw these. Airbnb.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't go to that.
You want to sign in there?
I might pull up, Highland Parks. I'll download the, I'm so smart.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, it's 5:32. I'd like to call the Ordinance Committee meeting to order. Is there any public comments? Go ahead and step up, please, to the mic and state your name.
My name is Cheryl Lewis, and I am here in reference to an ordinance that I received about the improvement of the property. I lived in my home for 14 years, and I had gravel in my backyard. My neighbors have had gravel in their backyard.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mike,
No.
Okay.
I would prefer you start.
Would you? Okay.
For the public, thank you so much.
My name is Cheryl Lewis, and I am here in reference to an ordinance that I received about improvement of my property. I've lived in my home for 14 years, and I've had gravel in my backyard. I made some improvements on my home. I got a fence, and so when I got my fence, I said, I'm gonna just upgrade the gravel that's in the backyard that was already there. Once I did that, I got a visit from someone saying that I needed to remove the gravel because of the new ordinance that was there, and that the only thing that I can put in my backyard is a concrete slab, asphalt, or some pavers in my backyard. All 3 of those ways are very expensive, and so if we are trying to make Kankakee beautiful again, then having me have gravel in my backyard, I should be able to have that in my backyard. I've been having it there now for 14 years. My neighbors have it, and I just don't understand why I can't have gravel in my backyard.
normally don't question back and forth, but I just want to be clear about this, though. You had existing gravel, though,
Yes,
and you didn't expand that?
no.
So you basically, did you bring more gravel in and just basically clean it up?
Yep, I brought more gravel to make it look a little bit nicer. It was white, matching my fence, and so that was what I wanted to put back there. Previously, it was dingy, and it was rocks, and it was black. It did have some grass spots on it, but my dad killed the grass so that I can add the gravel back to it. And I was told that there was a new ordinance that went into effect that stated that I cannot have gravel in my backyard.
Chairman, may I just,
Yes, absolutely.
can I have your address?
728 South Myrtle.
Whoa.
That's yours.
Ouch. You know what? After the meeting, I'd like to have your phone number, and I have the same question that the chairman asked.
Use the mic, Mike, please.
I'm
Alderman.
sorry. After the meeting, I'd like to get your phone number. I have the same question that the chairman asked, and we'll see if we can get this. Is that mine or yours, Dave?
700, 728.
Newly in the second ward.
So, same thing, we'll get your number.
Okay.
If you can hang out, or...
If you would like, you could put it on the sheet next to your name. That way,
Yes.
he can have it.
Yes.
You don't have to publicly, give your...
Right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call. Alderman Barron. Alderwoman Malone Marshall, absent, but she called in. Alderman Tully, absent. Alderwoman Noble.
Here.
Alderman Cobbs.
Present.
Alderwoman Lewis.
Here.
Alderman Marzak, chair, here. We have a quorum. In front of you, I did send the minutes out electronically, but there was a request from one of the members to add her full name. So what I did was I adjusted on the top of it. I put everybody's full name under roll call. That way, there's no doubt, who, everybody is. I did add the full names of Alderwoman Lewis and Malone Marshall at the end since they made an adjournment. But, common practice, is to abbreviate, and address the last name. So moving forward, we'll keep the full names under roll call, and I think that should suffice. But so if I could get a motion to approve.
Chairman, I'd like to move that we accept the minutes with those corrections that you made and moving forward. So I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as read.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Cobbs with the changes, seconded by Lewis. Roll call. Barron? Noble? Cobbs?
Aye.
Lewis?
Aye.
I myself is an aye. Okay, under old business, review modifications to the zoning district. That was left on there in case something got brought back to us. I did watch the planning board meeting, and they had a long discussion on it, but there was several planning board members that were absent, so they didn't feel that they wanted to move forward on that until they, had a few more people. They did have a quorum, but they wanted the other people to be there. So I expect it to go, they're going to they push that to their next planning board meeting. So if there's, changes after that, I'm sure he will bring it to us. So I'd just like to keep that on there for another month until that gets pushed to, pushed through and it goes to full city council. So next would be the enforcement of the drinking on public property. The downtown area, I'd say there's probably 95% would be a good number to put on that improvement with the downtown officer. It is unfortunate that, you know, we have to have a downtown officer overseeing the problems that are going on down there, but there's been in what I've seen, and I believe Alderman Barron would agree that there's been a vast improvement down there. I did speak with Chief Kidwell in regard to, what's working down there. Obviously, the officer's working down there, and he's going to go ahead and continue that. There has been a little movement just in the last 2 weeks back to the funeral home over there. The same group. You're standing out on the public sidewalk, that's one thing, but standing on private property, I mean, the window's been busted out there. They had to board the place up. So hopefully that can get addressed. The print shop across the street, I mean, that's an operating business, and I went by there the other day, and the guy's got an open bottle, and when anybody goes by, they just throw it in their pocket. So, it's still an ongoing problem, but it's a vast improvement. So I think, maybe if there was an idea tossed around, possibly, the bars that have liquor licenses, they have to have cameras on all their parking lots. So, that's in the ordinance currently. So, there's nothing on the liquor stores, and it seems that there's problems that arise from that. So possibility that maybe an adjustment to that liquor ordinance where they would also, I don't know why bars would have to have cameras and not the liquor stores. So maybe that's something that this committee could look at. So outside of that, maybe we talk to the chief and see if maybe the a dedicated camera would be worth it at certain locations, I guess. But any comments to that? Also, wait a minute. This past weekend there was a large crowd that gathered over on East Avenue. It was associated with the bar down there. Have no clue what was going on as far as what the party was, but I was informed that the lot and the whole street was just completely full. At about 2 o'clock, the police had to go down there and help, mitigate and, move traffic along. But the following day, there was, nothing but trash strewn all over the lot, which is, it's a city lot. I got a text too late. Otherwise, I'd have went down there and seen for myself. But supposedly, they were drinking in the lot, kind of the same situation you had on the west side. So, I guess, need to see where that's going to go. But any comments, Alderman Barron?
I just wanted to comment, the presence of the officer downtown and his technique seems to be working very well. My sense is he's pretty active. He gets out of the car, he is talking to a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people that we've had issues with. My hope is he could teach that to a number of other officers and use that as opposed to,
sure,
just coming up in a cruiser, like you said, they're just throwing it away, putting it away. That's not too helpful, it seems, in this issue. But the current system seems to be working pretty well. I think the chief understands that is working, and we might work on it. So I feel I like the where it's going, but again, it'll flare up at any point.
Sure it will. And the particular day over with the incident over at the funeral home, Officer Wynn was off that day, ironically. So he does a good job. And firsthand, I pulled up at Jewel and I seen an officer interacting with one of the individuals, and I rolled down my window just to observe, and it was very respectful, and it was a conversation with the lady. And I mean, I think that's what everybody wants to see. It don't matter who you are, just a level of respect. And so that was kind of neat to observe. So we'll just keep that open unless there's any other comments.
Yes, please.
Alderman Cobbs.
Yeah, the That, our question is, why are they homeless? Why are they drinking in public? And is it that they don't have any place to go? You know, why are they drinking in public? You know, even at the risk of everything, why are they drinking in public? And I would, like to know if that officer has any idea of what their living arrangements are. Are they homeless? Heck, do they have a drinking problem? Why are they drinking in public? And what can we do to help them not do that?
Well, I agree. I mean, the officers, they know these individuals, and some of them don't want help. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's as simple as that. But I would agree. Alderwoman Noble, brought that up last month. What's the situation with the homeless down there? There's an ungodly amount of services in this area, and
Well, the thing is it mental health? Is it alcoholism? Is it mental health? Is it alcoholism?
right,
We need not assume that,
right.
Or is it both? So why are they drinking in public? It's one thing to say, okay, you violated the ordinance, but the question is why?
If you'd like to join me, I'll be glad to. We'll go up,
Join you what?
join me down there, and we can go up and ask them. I mean, I'm serious. I'd be interested in knowing the stories. Like the officers, most of the officers do know most of the people, and by first name, their stories. But I'm curious myself. If there's services out there that can help, then I think they need to get pointed in the right direction. But
I hear you say that there's a number of services.
Talking like.
Oh, I hear you say that there's a number of services out there for these people, but when I talk to these people, they don't think that, and they don't know that, and they don't respond to that. They are saying that there is no place to go, no place for me. I have no place to go. And how do we change that? How do we inform them? I don't know.
Well, if we do go down there, we need to go down there with information, and not just words. So here's a place to go. Here's a place to go. Here's where you can get help.
The health department just overheard this today. I mean, they're about to roll out a new system, the IRIS system, that my understanding is it's supposed to be a intake for social services, so that more than just one social service agency will have information about the needs of a particular individual. It'll be shared among a larger group. I hope that we could get knowledgeable about that, and our officers who are downtown, to allow for that sort of entry into that system. Because the idea is that they are supposed to be talking, supposed to be sharing information to know what one person needs, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time somebody might come in the door.
Correct.
But I'm interested to find out what that's going to do.
If you do, and when you do, can you have them bring it to this body or council?
I'm with you. I mean, there was an individual down there that I interacted with, and he had no clue that there was a facility that was within 600 feet of his location. So I think getting that information out, that's partly our job, but it should be the job of the services that are trying to provide it. So hopefully, if we can, I like that. If there's a database that can be presented to them, and I'm with you.
Just curious, what outreach do these different, I am curious as to what outreach that the different agencies that supply this do have, because, we know where they hang out at.
Right.
Well, for me, if we know, then the agencies should know, or they need to be informed as well. That sometimes you have to reach people where they are, and
Right.
and if everybody knows where they hang out at, I would suspect that these agencies reach them.
Right.
Not me. I don't know how to place to go.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why I said I was wondering about their outreach program,
Right.
as far as, getting them to them.
Well, I appreciate the comments, and it's all good stuff. But I'm curious myself because, winter's coming up and, in a few months and it's time to, maybe patch them together with some services. And if they choose not to go down that path, I mean, we've done our job. So I guess we'll leave that on, just, as a topic of discussion, and we can see how it changes, if it changes next month. But in between, maybe we can, I can talk to the chief and see if if more cameras in the downtown area would help, help the situation, and maybe free up the officers where they could just look in versus having to be there. But okay, so let's leave that on. Food trucks, the fees and taxes. We talked about that last month and previous. There were some concerns that our fee of $250 and $500 was too much, and it might be discouraging the vendors from coming to Kankakee. So, as I said before, I'd reach out to other communities. So I reached out to Bradley to see how many food trucks they had. At their peak, they had 3. They're down to 2. So their fees are the following. It's $400. There's different classes. They use the same classifications as the county does. Like the county health department, I guess there's different classifications. But if you're a food truck vendor in the county, they have different classifications. But in Bradley, it's $400, $350, and $250. So if you look at that, I mean, we're kind of right in between there. So also they limit the location of the food truck to 8 times per month. So they're not just setting up every day in the same location, but if you do that, that's it's quite a bit if you add it up in a year's time. And they can't park overnight, so there's no parking overnight. It's a 1-year license. I did contact the health department in regard, because I wanted to know myself. There was conversation about them needing a facility, to prepare food. And I posed the question, well, I mean, if it's, if they're cooking burgers that they get at GFS and they're frozen and they have a full kitchen on the truck and everything's approved and they're not preparing it off site, then what's the requirement? The requirement is they still have to have a source of water to replenish their hand washing sinks or dishwashing sinks. So they have to have a facility to do that. So that would be attached to the, the vendor, so to speak. So, obviously approved hose. You're not just grabbing somebody's garden hose and hooking it up to your truck. But, so that was kind of interesting. But, so outside of that, my personal belief is, I don't think we're scaring people away with the 250 and the 500. I really don't. We have, I don't know, what was it, 5 or 6, I think it was. And then we do have some that are not, are not registered. Bradley had one out there too that, so I did not, ask Bourbon A, but is there any, do we want to, I personally don't think we need to adjust the license. I mean, as it stands as an ordinance, if there's multiple requests from them, then I guess we look at it. But, the brick and mortar, that I was going to say, that's another thing. They changed they changed it where I can't remember what he said. I think it was within 400 feet of a brick and mortar store. So, you can't park over here at the Shell station, maybe, when you got Paul's place right over there. So.
You're saying with relation to the food truck lot that we're looking at doing?
No, I mean, that's further, I mean, that's probably, from their place, that's probably 1,000 feet, you know? But I'm just saying, you know, but brick and mortars, you know, it does have an effect, so. I asked the question in regard to that location. I don't remember, we haven't like approved anything on that, right? As it being on a lot, but, you know, how long are they gonna stay there? I mean, are they gonna be able to set up, you know, at 8 a.m., 7 a.m. and be there 365 days a year at that lot? I mean, I guess those are the real questions that, you know, we need to figure out.
I don't think we do have you can only stay in that one spot for a certain amount of time. I don't think we have you can only be here certain numbers per month or anything like that. I think our restrictions, I think there are hours on when
Okay.
they can operate, but that's all we have right now. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that's the plan for the landing lot, is to make it a food truck lot, but we're gonna have to do some different rules on that.
I just, you know, hypothetically, let's say, you know, you had 10 trucks down there 7 days a week, you know, I mean, is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing, you know? I mean, the questions, you know?
I think, Chairman, right now, we're discussing the fees. I think we're kind of putting the cart in front of the horse at that point. So right now, we're discussing the fees, and I agree with you that they need to stay as they are. Is this something that we need to move to council?
No. I mean, the only thing was the fee, you know, the fees, do we make a change before next year? Because people have already paid one person has already paid the $500 fee. The other people have paid the $250 fees. And, you know, you had one person that, I guess, I don't even know who that vendor was not happy about it because, you know, they had to pay a $500 fee because they weren't in the city. But you're taking away from, you know, the residents too, is the way I look at it. One other thought that went through my head would be, you know, like the school district's truck. They have a food truck, and they do events. They pull up the truck at like these violence prevention events, and they don't charge anything, you know, for that service. They get employees on there. You know, that may be a consideration when they're not actually making money on that, you know.
Well, I think that'd be similar to Merchant Street Music Fest. We don't charge them. They don't go into this fee table, my knowledge. You do? No. So I think particularly with the school district, they would probably fall under those guidelines. That would be my assumption.
You know, I mean,
But they are making money. But they're making money at the Music Street.
Well, they fall under different guidelines. I can't recall verbatim, but
The distinction they do is with farmers market, Merchant Street, is if it's an event and they have their own participation fee, then the clerk has not required a city license. So they get in under that.
Participation fee covers it.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, but you do have a fee.
They are paying a fee. Yeah,
But not to the city.
not exactly.
Organization.
so,
It's interesting.
I don't think that's a perfect
Right.
distinction either. I mean, the reason why we want some of these places licensed is to know that they meet the health department
Right.
locations, that we have a contact person and information. It seems we would still want that even if it's at the event as opposed to.
I would say you know, any truck should go through the health department, you know, the Kankakee County Health Department to vend, but
Which, like the farmer's market, you have to go through the health department. You will be checked out there too. And I think at some of the private.
At almost any event, you are checked out.
on that same note, I did reach out, you know, and their number was about 20, you know,
Numbers about 20.
countywide,
20 trucks?
yes. So that gives you an idea.
I mean, but we're compatible to
Yes.
our surrounding municipalities.
Yeah.
It isn't like they got 5 food trucks or 10 and we only
Right.
got 2 or 3. We're pretty much 1 or 2 difference at max. I still say Kankakee is still the largest population, and if you're gonna have something like a food truck, you still gotta come to Kankakee.
Right.
That's where the most people are. And our fee isn't that astronomical in compared to other municipalities from the research.
So the question would be under food truck fees and taxes, they're currently $250 for residents, they're $500 for out of town. Either we make a motion to, amend that to something else, or we make a motion to leave it as it is and table table it.
I'd motion we leave it as it is.
I think it's 200 for
Is
in-city.
it 200?
Is it 200?
You sure? I thought it was 200 or 250 and 500.
I think it's 200 for in-city, 500 for out-of-city, 50 for a per-day license.
Okay.
And where is that information? Would the clerk have that information? Well, I retract my motion until we find out exactly what the exact fee is.
That, I mean,
Well, the 500 was the point of contention for the out of town.
Well, I can't, so we're considering a motion on only the 500.
No, we're considering whether to leave it as it stands right now, as the ordinance is in place. If you go down to City Hall right now and you want to buy a food truck license, you're a resident, you pay X, let's call it 200 or 250. That wasn't a point of contention. The point of contention was the $500 fee for being, let's say, in Aroma Park or Bradley or Mantino or somewhere outside the city. But we're very much in line, in my opinion, with Bradley. I mean they're 400, 350, and 250, and plus they require the sales tax proof.
Well, I can only make a decision based on the information I have in front of me. It's 200?
It's 200.
Where'd you get that information?
the application form from the city.
I remember that. That being said, I would like to make a motion that we move this to council with a 200 fee for in-town and 500 fee for out-of-town trucks.
It's already an ordinance.
Are we gonna leave it as is?
The only thing, this was on for discussion and possible changes, so the only thing we do is we remove it from the agenda, which, I'm looking just to table it,
Table it for what, why? If it's already on there, let's agree to.
to get it off the agenda, I mean,
Yeah, let's get
We
it
don't-
off of here.
That's table. That'd be to table it.
Okay, well, let's table it then. Table it would mean it would come back up.
If we
you could bring it up,
off table, untable.
if you wanted to bring it up in a future date, if this came up, if you make the motion to table it, you would make the motion to untable it, and whoever seconded it.
Well, I motion to table it.
I'll second it.
Okay. Okay, motion on the floor is to table this as is, with the fees of $200 for in-town residents and $500 for out-of-city residents remains the same. There's no action going to be taken outside of, we're just tabling this for now. Any discussion? Roll call. Barron?
Aye.
Noble?
Aye.
Cobb's?
Aye.
Lewis?
Aye.
I myself's an aye. Okay, moving on. Crime-free housing. We've been talking about this for a while, and we had the presentation from the crime-free housing coordinator that came down from Palatine and put on her presentation. We've looked at different ordinances for, like down in Rantoul, they have, the crime-free housing. I mean, it's done nationwide. Alderman Barron and myself, we met with Chief Kidwell and Deputy Chief, what was that, 2 weeks ago? And had a discussion with them, make sure that, they were on board. They seem to be, right on board, with what we're trying to do here. It's just another tool for a landlord to really start the formal proceedings, if they violate the lease. So, that's what we're looking for is, to do the lease addendum. And I'd like to go ahead and just turn it over to Alderman Barron and see if he wants to enlighten us.
Well, yeah, I thought that was helpful. And I think, I've been privileged enough to have a number of good conversations with people about the program and the policy generally. I mean, there's a lot of different points to move with this as a policy and different decisions and choices we can make with it. Chief Kidwell, his concern is he didn't want it to be too much of a burden on the department. Speaking with Barbie Brewer-Watson, they had already been talking quite a bit about doing some sort of landlord training. So there might be an opportunity for, instead of the department to take that responsibility on, maybe ECDA does. Had other discussions, with a number of you too, about is there a role for code, a role for ECDA to play in coming up with solutions for, is it an individual residence, tenancies? And I think there is. I think we can work that into it. My sense at this point, though, is, we're talking about these in terms of concepts. Let's get something on paper that we can then actually talk about specifics, go line by line if we need to, or there's a particular section, say, this particular offense should not be included in crime-free housing. This one should be. It should be covering only, this certain type of person, or tenant or landlord, but not this person. So, my thought is let's draft something. Let's ask council to put together a crime-free housing ordinance that could be adopted in the city of Kankakee. We've got a number of examples. Not only is that going to help us, I think, to internalize what we're looking at here, but we've got a lot more steps to take this to the community, I think, to take it to the landlords, to take it to our constituencies to talk about. So I think that'll help it too, to move it along. So my suggestion, I'd make a motion, is that, that we move to request council to draft a crime-free housing ordinance for the city.
Are you putting that in form of motion?
That is a motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is for legal to draft a crime-free ordinance, bring it back to this committee. We can look it over. So, motion made by Barron, seconded by Cobbs. Any questions, concerns?
Yeah, HUD is doing this, correct? Have like something similar. So can we get any stats from them as far as how effective it has been working for them, as far as, implementing their policy, if it is being implemented? Just for me, paying attention to the numbers on our crime thing when the harbors were in my ward, the majority of my numbers came from there. So I'm a little concerned on the enforcement side, how that looks like with them through HUD.
HUD has a provision that is like what we would be requiring in every residential lease. You're a tenant, you say that there's not going to be any criminal offenses that occur on the property. But I don't think they have any sort of enforcement mechanism on the owner of the property to do something about it.
Well, they're the
They're the
owner, though,
owners.
right? Right.
HUD's not. The housing authority owns properties, but
Well, I
HUD,
guess maybe that's what I mean, the housing authority.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
different programs. There's ones like over on North Harrison over there. That's a program itself, but that's individually
Yeah, but
owned.
that's individually owned, right,
individually
right.
owned. So like other ones are HUD themselves.
HUD financed,
Right.
Okay.
really but I think as part of their loan, they require as a condition that is part of the leases in the unit.
Okay.
The housing authority, I think they have something similar too, when it comes to.
Because I know they got a contract with us, well, with the police department as far as some type of security thing, or they have permission to enforce,
Agency.
yeah. I know we got something like that with them.
Yeah, you know, I don't know what sort of enforcement they take on that clause.
'Cause I know
but
they
that
can-
would be that'd be interesting to know. And to be fair, I mean, what impact our ordinance, if we require that the owners do take some sort of action if there's a violation, you know, what are they gonna do? I mean, are they gonna comply?
Because I've seen some remedies to whereas they may say a person is a no trespass, they can't come on the property anymore.
Well, they will require that. Yeah. And that I think, that's what we'd be looking for private landlords potentially to look at something like that.
So to be clear, you just like to know what HUD does in regard to the crime-free
Yeah,
housing?
as far as what they doing, saying as far as enforcement, or whoever, you know,
housing
got
authority?
those type of things. Is it, I don't know if they, you know, like you said, the one on Harrison, I don't know if they have that type of same agreement.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's certain things when you sign a lease with, like a Section 8 tenant, versus a housing, housing authority, even though the payment's coming, but there's different programs for sure. So I guess, the housing authority's right,
They should have that information.
east of town, so I think that shouldn't be a problem where we could,
Yeah.
you and I, one, or me or you, one of the other.
I mean, and I think that's, going forward, a big piece of this is who do we need to talk to? Who do we need to get the insights about making this effective? But I think the housing authority would absolutely be one.
Good deal.
And I represent a few landlords who accept Section 8 payments. I'd like to know, like, to see what they have as a requirement of the Section 8.
Right. And I'm interested because, with the new development coming, this part,
Yeah.
Because it will fall under that, Okay, so the motion on the floor, if we almost forgot, is to have legal draft, a crime-free housing ordinance that includes the lease addendum, and let's get a little information from HUD for Alderwoman Lewis. So, roll call. Barron?
Aye.
Noble?
Aye.
Cobbs?
Aye.
Lewis?
Aye.
And I myself, aye. Okay, that concludes that. And now we go to the nuisance ordinance, which we left on there almost specifically for Alderwoman Lewis. So she had a full-grown pig that somebody was storing in the backyard of a residence, and had quite a bit of issues, getting rid of it. So she wanted to see if we could look at the ordinance and do something about it. So that's why it's on there. I guess I can get with Dawn and see if there's anything that we're missing on that, and how we can make the
I would
situation
like
better.
to say if we have livestock like that,
We do. It's already in there.
immediately removed at the cost of the homeowner or tenant, whoever.
So basically, the livestock, you can't have livestock, you can't have roosters. We know they have roosters. We know they have, you said turkey.
Yeah. That's the fourth ward.
So currently the Fifth Ward wins the award. We just had baby cows. So what? That was 2 years ago. We had baby cows in the Fourth Ward. So moral of the story is we just left that on there so we can have a discussion on it, and I'll get with Dawn and see if from legal and see if we can if there's a way to put some language in there where we can expedite it, because I would think that living conditions over there with the neighbors, and maybe something was missed. I don't know the channels. I don't know, who brought it, did you bring it to code? Did you, I don't know the channels that it went through. So, she would have that information.
Did code say,
Yeah, it came to code. That's where when we found out about it from the tenant came in.
And they said that pigs are not included in livestock as a definition?
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about first how we found out about it. That's not close enough? Okay. I thought you were talking about how we found out about the pig.
Cobra,
Well,
okay.
well, I think part of the problem was they did bring it to code, they brought it to a number of people, but there wasn't any immediate action. Livestock, if I'm not mistaken, aren't allowed in the city of Kankakee. So what did we do to,
They went through the regular procedures of giving you the time to correct it, and I think that's a 30-day allotment, and that's too long for having a pig, and then it's still, they, I guess, needed more time, so they were working with them, and it ended up being over a 3-month process.
So I guess just see what we can do within the, the parameters of the law. I mean, I would think if the conditions that it sounded like neighbors, were having to put up with the, situation. And, that, does it fall under the health and safety of, the neighbors? I would think.
Didn't code say that, one of the reasons why it took so long was because it's private property and you just can't
Just can't go on it,
property?
and then they had no one to get it, because animal control does not remove livestock.
well, if you have something illegal on your property,
Who can get it?
yeah, I mean, is that search warrant ready or warrant ready, how do you, because you know there's something illegal on the property. And you say we can't go on that property even though they have something illegal on it, this just doesn't sound right to me. This doesn't
Right.
pass the smell test.
Agreed, but it's you can murder somebody and you get arrested for it, and you still have to go through the legal channels, even though, I mean, it's private property. Yes, they had a pig that was not allowed by code. What other bones, can we put in there to make it a little bit easier to get it removed? Maybe it does say maybe you add language in there that says, it must be abated, within 7 days, like some others. Otherwise, you're going to get, a $750 fee per day or whatever. It's a motivation factor, I think, in that regard. So, I'm just saying specific language that not necessarily you have to get a court on, but if you're going to get a fine, you're probably going to be moving the animal.
Yeah, that sounds real feasible, a certain amount of fine daily until the animal is removed.
Yeah, because if it was in the basement, like in the house or something, we would have never known.
My understanding is they brought it in the house. That's what I heard.
Yeah, it would go from inside to outside.
Well, but I mean, it's a real situation that occurred, so she just don't, Alderman Lewis don't want to have to deal with it again. So it's worthy of looking at. We'll see. I'll talk to legal. I got to talk to her anyway.
Yeah, probably something that may be helpful to have code discuss as well. How can we expedite this in the future?
Absolutely.
'Cause
I mean, it's already in the ordinance, so, I mean, I don't know, I don't think we want to bring it to code, It's already in the ordinance. I'll have Dawn take a look at it. She can make suggestions. I can bring it back here,
So regarding our chickens, so we know that they're not supposed to have roosters. Is there any type of enforcement of if, say, they have over the number that they're allotted? Or, like you said, have the rooster, is there anything that's, if you have something you're not supposed to have, now you lose that right? Or forfeit that license?
If my memory serves me correctly, I could be wrong. I believe planning was working on some details on chicken coops and some of those details. So, did you see that?
Yep.
Okay.
And again,
Something about the size and whatnot, but I was just wondering if, like you said, I think, what, do we allot 10 chickens? So if they got 20,
That's a lot.
who's inspecting them to make sure that the person has those amounts, you know, because we're giving out licenses and I don't really think there's any follow-up. I'm not for sure, but I'm sure that would probably be a code thing, and that's what, I think we may need more officers or something to enforce so that we not running around with turkeys and chickens and roosters and all, you know, once they got approved, I get chickens, now I'm gonna bring my goat.
And then if there's a violation, they lose the license altogether. for some
As I said,
period
do
of
we
time.
have anything that says that's, I don't know.
X number of, you know, I could see something like that. I mean, X number of violations, you go, okay, you just lose the right all in entirety in the store, you know?
Amount of time.
Right. I mean, if, you know, you're not going to pull it if somebody, oh, well, I didn't know. I mean, I see my neighbor's got, you know, chickens. I thought I could have chickens. My guess is most of these people don't have a clue that even need a, I think it's $30, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Well, the last time I remember having a discussion with code, they just didn't have enough officers to stay on top of that. As far as then once they get a license check yearly, I don't know how well they're doing with that. If I'm not mistaken, I thought they said it would be overwhelming for them to continue to inspect that on a regular basis. There's people out there. I hear roosters in my neighborhood, I'm not gonna lie.
you what?
I hear roosters.
I heard the west side has ducks too. Is it geese? I can't remember.
Paul. Okay, so I'll consult with legal and mention, you know, all of the above, roosters, maybe some sort of, you know, better enforcement, you know, if there's violation. If there's neighbor complaints even, I guess, you know, that should factor into it too, because, you know, you do have the right to peace and quiet at your property. So if I had a rooster going crazy, I probably would go crazy too.
So that qualifies under chronic nuisance.
Yes.
So if there's 2 or more offenses of that, you're getting a letter.
I mean, that's why we're talking about it under nuisance, you know, so.
So with the pig should have got a letter, right?
Well, it's a violation.
Calls. There are 2 calls complaining about it, and they deem it to be a nuisance. Department.
But we only got lucky that pig got removed because someone from DPW knew somebody that, you know, take it. It would still be
Yeah,
there.
that is, who's gonna take it? I mean, if animal control's not taking it, man, the department's not gonna do it either,
Right.
right? I mean. then
Well,
you gotta do it.
there's language in there, you know, the removal must be on the owner, you know, it's the owner's responsibility.
The owner brought it there.
Right. But what if he don't? But what if he don't?
You don't want to.
Right. I mean, but what if he don't? They
Just set it free in the
Yeah.
street.
well, it's a good, I guess that's a good question. If there's a pig roaming the street, who takes care of it? But, okay, we'll leave that under old business. No new business. Any Alderman questions and concerns?
I just wanted that Airbnb short-term rental regulation toolkit for us to review for potential, our ordinance for Airbnb. Information we got from IML, so I thought maybe we could look at that, maybe discuss it or something when we're addressing our Airbnb ordinances.
So, Airbnb, we'll put that under new business for next month. We can have a discussion. Okay? Anything else?
I just would like to address the gravel issue.
Where'd she go? She left.
Left her phone number.
Okay.
Because I kind of agree, if you got gravel and you got gravel and I had gravel, why can't I? So,
I thought it was grandfathered in too. If you
Yeah.
already had gravel, you can continue with gravel,
Exactly.
but you can't put gravel where there wasn't gravel already.
You can continue, if you have existing gravel and it's maintained, you can
and
do
it's
that.
maintained.
Right.
But if it hasn't been maintained, then
You still had pre-existing
yes, you
gravel.
still have pre-existing.
I think we
so-
should allow for it.
Yes, I think we should.
I thought we did, but,
We didn't allow for new people, like if someone new wanted to just put rock down there, they
right,
can't.
exactly.
That's not allowed. You can't just scrape off, and there's a scenario in town right now where they scraped off the, the grass, and they put gravel down.
But what's wrong with putting gravel down?
It's just not an approved surface. I mean,
But
visually, mostly visually.
That was something that we had discussion about in code, though. I don't know what the ordinance says.
Okay. 'Cause I think it looks a lot better than, a lot of the yards that are nothing.
They have tire tracks.
Yeah, and holes.
Well, I mean, and it goes back to the code, though. They specify, the parking area. You're supposed to have an approved surface. You're not supposed to be parking on the grass. You're not supposed to be parking on, mud. So,
Yeah, they have to have an approved surface.
and an approved surface, if it's new, it would obviously be, whatever's listed under the approved surface, whether it
But
be
I
pavement.
think something should be made beneficial to the people of the community and not just.
Speaking to the mic.
I think something should be made beneficial to the people of the community and not just what you think, I think, or somebody else thinks. Because if this gravel, which is hurting nobody, is serving a purpose to me, why can't I have it?
I mean, I can touch on this because I know of a scenario where there was an individual that had a construction trailer that was backed in next to his garage, and you could clearly see that there was existing gravel there, but the grass had grown above it, but you can still see the gravel there. He was willing to top it with new gravel. He could have sprayed it with Roundup and it would have been gravel. So, back to the existing, just my opinion, if it's existing, if this young lady has an existing gravel, I mean, and wants to top it, to me, that's maintaining it. But if you're expanding it, that's a whole different realm, So, I mean, Alderman Barron, I'm sure he's going to follow up and go look at this. So,
And let us know what you come up with. One time that I'm happy that's not in my
This has come up,
yeah, it does come up, but I mean, it should be pretty clear, if it's existing. I think that's under any legal non-conforming. I mean, if you have let's say a 5-unit apartment house and it's in an R1, which is, one resident, one single-family house, as long as you maintain, you don't give up that legal non-conforming right. If you put a beauty salon in there, you've changed the use of it, so you lose that status. But I think gravel's pretty clear. But
is the thing with gravel for purposes of parking, it deteriorates more quickly than cement, asphalt.
But it's what you can afford.
Yeah, but we require certain standards to make sure the homes can stay up for certain amounts of time.
We as a city.
right.
But the city ought to think about what the people can afford that still makes the city look decent.
Especially because I will say, I'd rather see some gravel than some dirt.
Mud.
Right, and
And it's
the
less
weeds.
messy, and depending on the gravel that you use, it could be very pretty.
Yes.
So I guess I'm not understanding that, because a lot of them are, like my neighbor, he has gravel, but he has not maintained it.
Right.
So it would actually look better if the gravel was put there than just leaving the grass that's growing there, the weeds and the grass that's
between it.
growing over. It would look better if the gravel was there versus pieces of weeds and grass and gravel. Because we're not saying the person must maintain by spraying it with weed spray or whatever. We're not saying that. So it can still look bad, but it was a gravel spot. Versus if they go ahead and put more rock down, it will look better. And then everybody don't use it to park on. It could just be, like I noticed around garbage can areas and
Right.
stuff like that, it's a lot of gravel. You know, people would rather have the gravel right there. It looks better with me with gravel than the grass.
I would say, Tamora had a great explanation, when I was, in code. She has a great explanation as to why there should be gravel and why not there should be gravel, to be honest with you. I think she probably could explain it better than I can, or probably any of us, for that matter. So I think it's something we might want to bring up at code, because she
Yeah.
gave a great explanation. I have the same impression that she.
Because I don't get it.
Well, Tamora had a great explanation for that,
Okay.
but I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember what it was either.
Okay. Good conversation on the gravel. Anything else? No? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So move.
It's 6:29, so,
Oh, man, you set the bar, man.
not yet.
6:29. It's 6:30 in 4 seconds.
Well, it's 6:29. Did you second, Alderman Cobbs?
Yes, I did, thank you.
Okay.
You set the bar now, man.
Okay. Any opposed? All in favor? Everybody? Okay. All right.
I will leave you. So you're gonna be talking to the attorney?
I will.
Person or phone? Because that's our.